Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting for May 1st. It's May Day today. Welcome, everyone. At this time, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Bakani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. We are making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. Before we get started or not, just a couple notes here I want to start off with. Whether you're a hockey fan or not, another positive story for our community. The Brooks Bandits winning the 7th AJHL championship. Now, something like this builds community spirits, and we saw that from a packed house Friday night. If you had a chance to be at the CRA, there's just an ambience of excitement, and that generates throughout the entire community. The 50-50 was $27,000, which means, that's a nice little jackpot there, too. Now, the Bandits, they're going to they've won the last 2 national championships. They're going for the 3rd one in Portage la Prairie. And the nice thing about the Bandits, and I just want to mention too, no matter where I travel, you can talk about Brooks, and one of the first things that comes up all the time is you have a pretty good hockey team there, and we say, yeah, we're #1 in the country there. So I just want to say congratulations to the Brooks Bandits, and good luck in the national championship in the Centennial Cup in Portage in a few weeks' time there too. So, okay, Mohammed, you have a guest here.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Petrie. Another good story, good news story. I would like to actually acknowledge and take this opportunity to recognize a young man in the audience, Mr. Merrick Fournier. He just was one of 20 students from Brooks Junior High that took the Pascal exam. And if you know what's the Pascal exam, it's actually a contest run by the Waterloo University. And it's an opportunity for participants to explore potentials in mathematics, in computing, and things like that. About 20,000 students from all over the world takes that exam. And Mr. Merrick has been taking this exam for the last couple of years. And this year, he actually placed in the top 25% of kids from all over the world that actually took the exam, and he was awarded a distinction from the university. You know, this is something that we as a community need to acknowledge, that we have youth in our community that are doing amazing work, I can't congratulate him enough for that. Actually, he wants to attend Waterloo University, and he wants to study nanotechnology. I don't know what's nanotechnology, but I'm sure.
Small, yeah.
Okay, but it sounds very interesting anyhow. So congratulations, young man. You have earned it. And actually, want to extend with that also a big gratitude to the math teacher, Mr. Logan Shop. He's with the Grassland. You know, when you have great teachers inspire young people and uplift them and make them do good things in life. And you are going to do good things in life, Mr. Merrick. So congratulations. And again, congratulations to all the other students. I think about 20 students from the community that took the exam. There are a lot of good things that our community youth are doing. Actually, just recently, there was a group that participated in the skills competition, and again, ranked high in the provincial, I think, or the regional one. There are kids who are doing some good things with cultural things and in diversity clubs and things like that. And I think maybe in council here we need to take some time sometimes to acknowledge kids in our community. So congratulations again.
Congratulations, and we're very proud of you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, some staff introductions here. Todd?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce Julie Russell and Bruce Poole as the 2 newest additions to the Public Works Department. Julie started on the 17th and Bruce on the 24th of April.
Well, welcome to the city of Brooks, the best place in Brooks to work. Thank you very much for coming here this afternoon. Thanks, Todd. Yeah. Okay. Moved by Councillor Goodenough that the agenda be adopted as amended by adding agenda item 7H, Proclamation International Economic Development Week. Alan.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, and as you mentioned, we'd like to add that business item 7H, the proclamation for the International Economic Development Week.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that the minutes from the regular council meeting held April 17th, 2023 be approved. Any errors or admissions? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the local mural project application be approved. Tyler, if you want to come to the table here, we make the motion and then we can talk to you there first. Speaking of great teachers, another great teacher there. We have one up on council here too. So, Tyler, the floor is yours.
Hello, Honorable Mayor and councilors. Yeah, in your package, I submitted an application to get a mural done in town. I wanted to go through the appropriate processes so that we could make sure that everything is above board. The project kind of began, we approached, there was a group of young students in my school who wanted to do something in the community, and we approached some local businesses to see who would be interested, and so Seconds on Second was kind of the one that got back to us, and we've done work with them before, and they were pleased with it, so they were very excited to move ahead with us, and so we came up with the design, which is in your packages. You can look it over. We had some kids use some Photoshop skills there, which is, it's like nanotechnology, but it's a little more computery. So they've mocked it up to show you what it would look like. Kind of the design or the idea behind it was the kids wanted to, when we talked to Shauna Bell, the manager there at Second on Second, she wanted like motherhood and community and family to kind of be represented. She wanted big, bright colors. So that was the design that the kids came up with. And hopefully, when we get out there, we're going to kind of measure it out, but it should span the majority of that alley and take care of some of that graffiti that's back there, which is nice too. So I don't know. I think that was all I had to say about it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I was going to ask you, I think somebody else was going to ask too, what about the elephants? What do they represent?
So
It does,
in the animal kingdom, I
Yeah.
guess they're supposed to be great mothers. I've never been raised by an elephant, so I don't know. But that's kind of, Shauna was okay with it. She said that was kind of a nice little nod. And we did get some feedback that they would like us to maybe put another into the design, just by that larger gray elephant in the center, which is perfectly fine. Originally, we did have some text, but the Seconds on Second board discussed it, and they didn't want any text in the mural. They only wanted images, so that was kind of the compromise that we had to come up with.
yeah, and your students are doing this, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
So
did
it's,
yeah.
sorry, John, it's my school and the Composite High School, so it'll be a collective of students. We have about 13 right now that are signed up, ready to go, and as soon as we get the go-ahead, we'll get at it.
Yeah, you did a nice one by the ACH Center there, by the bowling alley there, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You were in charge of that one there too.
We did, yeah.
nice job.
We were
Okay,
doing,
I'll
we were
open it
doing
up.
one today too, out by, in Dutchess there,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, okay. I'll open it up to questions. Got any, go ahead, Councilor Goodenough?
Great job. I think
Thanks.
this is good. One thing I was going to ask, is it possible, and I know it's not your building, but the old advertisement of Ultimate Flooring is up there. Maybe if you're there, could you just unscrew it?
I'll see what I can do.
All right,
I'll
thanks.
see, maybe I can call cities and they bring me down a toolbox or
Oh,
something.
boy. Good luck.
But yeah, if we can get up there, we'll do
Yeah,
it.
just-
I wouldn't mind.
I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. There, you can start today.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Really
Okay.
appreciate it. Should be fun.
Yeah,
So,
it should be. Thank you, yeah. Okay, moved by Councilor Nesbitt that the following items of correspondence be received as information, updates on council conferences and/or workshops, the accounts payable listing, and the council committee notes from April 25th, 2023. Councilor Wardrop, you have something?
I do, thank you. earlier, or I guess mid-April, I attended the Intercity Forum on Social Policy, and I attended a day-long workshop specifically on housing. So we did a lot of collaborative work among different members of the different cities. If you don't know the Intercity Forum on Social Policy, there's I'm not sure how many members, I can't think of off the top of my head, but many different municipalities across the province. So we got to kind of work in small groups and come up collectively with our top priorities and ways that our group can most effectively advocate the provincial and federal government for what turns out to be our top priorities. One of the things that we were hoping to see action on right away, even during this election cycle, this provincial election cycle, is just the propelling of the issue of housing to top of the conversation. So we often talk about, especially during elections, right? Economy, jobs, healthcare is a very big topic right now. And there was a lot of discussion about housing as a human right, right? So that doesn't usually get the gravity that it deserves, but housing is a human right, and we are hoping to put together a letter that would advocate the provincial government to treat housing as the top priority that it should be, that it is, and that encourages the other political parties as well to engage in meaningful discussions about housing and come up with a plan that would best serve Albertans as we're going through this crisis in housing in many of our communities. The different municipalities at the conference there, at the workshop, had varying levels of urgency in terms of their housing needs. Our community being toward the top of what we desperately need more housing, affordable housing. And so, you know, we were working with other cities who also felt that urgency. So I'm not sure when the letter is coming out, but I will expect it from between now and, I don't know, even a couple weeks. I believe the city of Calgary and Edmonton are working on that, and I'm in that email loop, so I will let you all know when I hear back, and hopefully we can get the topic of housing on those election platforms.
It's interesting, I was reading, I think it was maybe the Alberta Chambers or somebody, they listed, the priorities going into the election, and housing wasn't even in the top 5, which I thought was really disappointing, because it's not only an issue here, it's a big issue here, but it's also an issue in our major metropolitan cities too, of Calgary and Edmonton too. But as we go into this election, and we'll be approached by a lot of the candidates, that I think we have to kind of talk about housing and how we can try to solve that problem there too, so.
Yeah, and absolutely, and that was really echoed by almost everybody there, right? And I really like the way that we started to frame this, that we need to start treating it and discussing it as a human right? Shelter and housing and having a place of dignity to call your home is just as important as having proper access to healthcare and your it's a basic need. So it really should be discussed during the election. It should be on people's platforms, and it should get the attention it deserves. So hopefully we can make a little bit of headway there, and any other developments, I will keep you updated.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Jessica.
Yeah, so recently the Palliser Triangle Health Advisory Council had a virtual meeting, and once I got past Teams, I sort of listened in on that. And, they've got a lot of things in the works. Talked a little bit about virtual hospitals in cities where people would be, where appropriate, people would be admitted in their homes with support from home care paramedics, and they're looking at something similar for the Palliser health region. Recruitment to rural areas, as we know, is a definite problem, so they're looking how to change the model to get students to get more training in smaller centers, like such as Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, but actually U of C is even having students do work in even smaller centers like Tabor. Brooks does have a shortage of nurses, and they have a strategy for nurses and other professionals, which includes internationally educated candidates, and Brooks is a priority. They do have, now, there was some thought out there that there are going to be some new surgical units in Brooks, but that's not the case. But the Brooks operating rooms are being renovated for functionality. And Amanda's on that board, so if I got anything wrong, tell me later. So no, it was quite informative, and they're doing things and trying to do things, so that's good news.
Okay, good, thank you, Councillor Jessica. Councillor Idris.
So that announcement a couple of weeks ago was about the renovation then? Is okay, perfect.
Now, did you have anything else for workshops? Okay, yeah, nothing for the workshops then, eh? Okay, anybody else? I don't think so. Okay, okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Prentice that May 10th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as the Day of Action Against Asian Racism in the City of Brooks. Amanda.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, according to Statistics Canada, police reported hate crimes against East and Southeast Asians have increased over the years, specifically with the COVID-19 pandemic that had taken place. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms states that every individual is equal before and under the law, and has the right to equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. The City of Brooks is a welcoming and inclusive community and one of the most culturally diverse communities in Alberta. The City of Brooks values the diversity of its residents and staff and is committed to providing high-quality services, inclusive facilities and programs, and creating an overall diversity-friendly, welcoming, and inclusive community. The City of Brooks has a welcoming and inclusive committee, other known as WIC, which strives to create a welcoming and inclusive municipality in which all residents can feel included and fully able to participate in their community. The City of Brooks is a signatory of UNESCO's Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, which helps broaden and strengthen our ability to protect and promote human rights, and that is actually, the charter is based on the back wall of council chambers. And to promote human rights through coordination and shared responsibility among local governments, civil society organizations, and other democratic institutions. The City of Brooks also created the WIC Partnership Plan. The partnership plan was created with the assistance of the WIC Committee, which encompasses 10 common commitments and utilizes information from the Alberta Municipalities WIC Toolkit. The creation of the plan further supports Brooks' strong commitment to CIM, or that committee's 10 common commitment utilizing information, Alberta municipalities, and the promotion of diversity throughout the City of Brooks' workplace and the community as a whole. We must condemn all forms of hate in public spaces as it creates unsafe conditions for people of color and racialized communities. Therefore, administration is recommending that May 10th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as the Day of Action Against Asian Racism in the City of Brooks. And in consultation with the Communications Officer, Jordan Jones, there will be posting an educational video to the city's social media pages, and I believe that there may be more than one video that will be posted on those pages.
Okay, good. Any questions or comments? Okay, Councillor Woodrow.
Just for clarification, is this a declaration, or is this in response to COVID-19 specifically?
Back in 2020 and 2021, it was specifically directed to COVID. But again, as with all racism, that still happens to this day. It's not just reflective of COVID-19, but that's when it really started to gain momentum, was with that pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say, I think it's 47, it was upwards of 47% actually, that anti-Asian hate crimes actually went up across the country because of COVID. And I just wanted to clarify if that was specifically why. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Oh, did you have a comment? Okay, okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that the week of May 7th to the 13th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as Palliative Care Week in the City of Brooks.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, recently Mayor Petrie and Council received a request from the Prairie Rose Hospice Palliative Care Society to recognize National Hospice Palliative Care Week from May 7th to May 13th. National Hospice Palliative Care Week will focus on what excellent resources people can access both online and within their community to help in the understanding of progressive and or terminal illnesses. Palliative care is about life and the importance to educate individuals how to live, focusing on their own legacy of life, treating the whole person and their family, not just the disease. Hospice care is a type of palliative care provided to persons with a terminal illness when cure is not an option and life expectancy is typically less than 6 months. In our community, the Society is involved with advocacy, identifying and addressing needs of the community regarding palliative hospice care, education, best practices, and latest knowledge regarding end of life, volunteers, in-home and hospital support, not providing medical care, equipment, providing hospital beds, tables, and sheepskins for palliative care in-home use, memorial service, offered twice a year for those who have lost a loved one, and fundraising to support all the above services. Therefore, it is respectfully requested by the Prairie Rose Hospice Palliative Care Society that May 7th to May 13th, 2023 be proclaimed as National Hospice Palliative Care Week in the City of Brooks.
Any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that council award the McKay Park Revitalization Project to BDI Play Design in the amount of $621,275.55 to be funded by the JBS Foods Hometown Strong Program, and the additional $146,275.55 to be funded from the city's Linear Trails and Beautification Program. Alicia.
Thank you through the chair to mayor and council. On March 2nd, 2023, a request for proposal for the McKay Park revitalization was posted on the Alberta Purchasing Connection and the city's website. The RFP was for submission for technical engineering design services and construction of 2 new basketball courts, a mini soccer pitch with goalposts, a finished patio area with picnic tables, installation of a covered gazebo over a portion of the patio area, an upgrade to the park's walking paths offering better connectivity, expansion of the existing playground, and installation of the pour-and-play surface. The RFP also mentioned the project budget of $475,000, which was received as a donation from JBS Foods Hometown Strong Program. The RFP closed on Friday, March 31st, and the city received 1 proposal from BDI Play Designs. Since the proposed project cost exceeded the budget amount, the proposal was split into 2 phases. Phase 1 includes excavation, removal, preparation, and construction of the concrete picnic area pad, asphalt basketball courts, including seeding of the perimeter, pour-and-place surface of play area, including the expansion of the wood border, and installation of the picnic tables, basketball hoops, trash receptacles, soccer goalposts, and a U-swing. The total cost for Phase 1 is $470,664.35. Phase 2 of the project includes the asphalt pathway expansions and an asphalt parking area for a total cost of $150,611.20. The total project cost is $621,275.55. As mentioned above, the budget amount for this project was $475,000. Staff recommends using the Linear Trails and Beautification budget to cover the additional costs of $146,275.55. Our Linear Trails and Beautification budget was $226,000 $1,895. Of that budget, $50,500 is designated for our linear trails and beautification master plan currently being completed, leaving an available budget of $176,395 to cover the pathway and parking area at McKay Park. BDI Play Designs is sourcing a local contractor to do the asphalt work within this project. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation to award the McKay Park Revitalization Project to BDI Play Designs in the amount of $621,275.55 to be funded by the JBS Foods Hometown Strong program, and the additional $146,275.55 to be funded from the city's Linear Trails and Beautification program.
Okay, any questions? Councilor Goodenough.
Hi, I'm just curious, this is over budget, and we've discussed that in our previous meetings, but I'm curious on the pathway budgets in respect to the parking area for McKay Park. Do we have a budget plan or how we're going to split that up if parking wasn't included in this, if it was just pathways? And the reason why I'm asking that is we have the linear trails and beautification master plan. So does that always include now for going on for future projects that we're going to include a parking lot for other pathways that people may want to stop at and walk?
Thank you, through the chair, to Councillor Goodenough. There is a breakdown of the cost between the pathway and the parking area. However, those costs are based on providing both services. So if we were to remove a portion of it, the costs for, say, just the pathways could change. But this program is for linear trails and beautification. So by putting in the pathways and the parking area, we are beautifying the area instead of leaving the old parking area behind. It doesn't necessarily set precedents that we're going to put parking lots in every time we do pathways.
Okay, yeah, because that would be my concern if all of a sudden now we're going to say we're going to put parking lots for every pathway, because that's the plan, right, to increase pathways in our community, that if all of a sudden now we need parking lots here.
I believe it's, though, because it's an existing parking lot that's in poor condition, so as part of the project was to beautify the parking lot and make it look better along with the rest of the park.
So my other concern is with that parking lot. I don't think it's necessary, personally. How you guys choose to vote, it's up to you, but I think that having the parking lot is not necessary because it's designed for the people in that community within walking distance. I think that that's an overreach of use of that tax where that money should go to for future development of our pathway. So, thank you.
Councilor Woodruff.
I do have another question here. So could you tell us how specifically the paths are going to be expanded at that park? Because there's like the paved pathway is still, they're in good condition, and the one comes out on 2nd Avenue, I believe is the road. Silly, but I don't remember. 2nd Avenue, and then comes out by the McKay playground, and then the other direction comes out over behind like where the parking lot is there.
Through the chair to Councillor Wardrobe, I don't have the plan in front of me, but I believe there is no existing pathway between, say, where the basketball courts are going, where they're going to put the soccer field area, and the existing play structure. So the intention is to connect these new uses that are being added and also provide access out to the road, I believe, up at the north, which I think is 3rd Street East, if I remember correctly. And then the existing pathways obviously will remain. So it's just adding to them.
Okay. And I expressed this concern during the last meeting there too, that when this is done, then that will only leave us 21,000 approximately for the rest of the linear trails budget. And when we get that master plan back, it's just not a whole lot to work with. Could you refresh my memory how much we allocated for that linear, that beautification, the linear plans?
So,
line
thank you
item,
through
what
the
that
chair
was.
to Councillor Wardrop. So as I mentioned in my report, the linear trails path plan is going to be accounted for in this year's budget. So that was the 50,500. And so we weren't going to move forward with any pathways until that plan comes out, and we will have an additional $100,000 next year because we do have $100,000 annually, which again will be discussed and incorporated into the master plan document and how we can utilize that money annually to move forward with the master plan.
So it's 100,000 then, that's what.
That's correct.
So
yes.
we'd have 120,000 to begin with whatever wonderful plan we get. My only, I like this plan, and I believe that it should be done. I pause a bit because if a parking lot and just simply connecting the basketball court to the road, to the whatever, it's not very much. That's $150,000. What are we going to do with 120 when we get that nice master plan? It doesn't really give us a lot. You know, it's not a lot. We could have an extra, we could have double that almost, right? And I'm hoping to see some exciting ideas from that master plan, and I would really like to put them, you know, put them into practice right away, and we could have, you know, not quite 300, but we would have almost double what we have now. So I'm still open. My mind isn't made up here, but I don't know. We could put phase 2 on hold and see what the rest of the master plan has, and then prioritize where we want to spend money first. I do understand that this will obviously have to be done in phases, but 120 won't get us very far. The other thing, sorry, I do remember there was a bit of discussion about it being difficult to put kind of separate those two items, right? Those two, building the parking lot from the paths or whatever. But if it is possible to just build the paths from that path to the basketball courts to the whatever, maybe that is an option, and we could skip the parking lot for now. I just don't want to miss out on what that master plan has for us and what that could potentially mean.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the intent of the master plan, because we would have most of the money spent for this year, but that was part of this one. But then next year, we'd probably have 125,000, and that's what we put in every year. So the master plan is a long-range plan, so we put 100,000 in every year on that. So once it comes out, and then we can start looking at 2024, 2025, and down the road. That's how I see this, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could.
Go ahead, yeah.
And yeah, what I'm saying is that 120,000 isn't going to get, we might only be able to put a very, very small portion of what that master plan then shows us.
Yeah, but the point is, I think that master plan is a plan over, I would say, over many years. I can't say, is it 8, 10 years? That it's a long-range plan. It's not like a plan that we bring in and everything has to be done by 2024, 2025, and that's the whole intent of that.
Yeah.
And with any plan, things change over time, too, so, yeah.
I think this is just, I want to see more done.
Right
quickly.
away.
Yeah, I'm less patient.
And that's understandable, yeah. Okay, any other comments? Okay, Councillor Idris? Sorry, Bill, I'll get you next.
Thank you. I will urge my fellow councillors to look at this plan of what it is, when we started thinking about the McKay Park. The McKay Park is in a very bad shape right now. For example, the parking lot, when you look at the parking lot, actually, first of all, it's not usable. It's very in a bad shape that it can't be used. So if we are trying to create that excitement, that idea of pride in your neighborhood, pride in your community, pride in your surroundings, doing the park itself and letting the parking lot be in a longer phase will just make that even a longer thing. I will add to that. And as Alicia alluded to this, The idea that if we are going to actually put it into different phases, you are going to incur more costs because you are going to stop a project and then start a project again, and that will increase the project cost. In terms of the 100,000 we have every year for this strategic plan that we are going to put together, I agree with Mayor Petrie that it is a long-term plan. But at the same time, when we come to the budget process at the end of the year, who said we can't say we need more than 100,000? Okay, I know we are tight for money, but that's still a decision that we will have to make in October, November when we are going to go through the project budgeting for next few years. So for these reasons, I actually support this plan. And I think it is economical and it is efficient in terms of trying to finish it within this period.
Councillor Prentice.
Yeah, I agree with the parking lot, it seems like a lot of money, but if you don't complete this project, when they're doing it now, you're never gonna get back to it again. So you're always gonna have that piece that's sitting there, and it might not happen for a long time, so I think the pavement is already in the back alley there, so that would complete the thing. You won't have mud being dragged out on the road. And I think it should be completed now. I know you're trying to say we need more, but it is completing a whole project, so. And they put a lot of money into it, so that 100 and whatever it is we're gonna put into it, I don't think is that bad, so I think it should be completed as designed.
Councillor Idris.
One more thing. I would actually argue we also want to make this a destination in Brooks. The idea that it's only for the surrounding neighborhood and no need for parking. I would love for people from the West End to come and enjoy that area. I would love to have people from all over the community. Why? Because there are more facilities. There is the basketball court. There is the mini soccer field. It's not every park in our community that has these things. And then there is that walking around, similar to what happens with Lake Stafford. People go there to walk around, and so I would love to have this to become a destination in our community.
Any other? Okay, Councillor Goodenough.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I think it's a great idea. I'm in favor of it. I'm a little disappointed that it's coming back over budget. This was an opportunity that was presented to the city by a great corporation in our community to enhance our park. What I'm wondering is, if all of a sudden you're going to have parking, how many of our other parks have parking? I'm thinking of one in particular that doesn't necessarily have, I think they have, I'm thinking of our park over here by City Hall.
Like right there?
Yeah.
Like Veterans Park?
No.
Like, 'cause there's parking.
Anyway, no. Anyway, the park just over, they maybe got 6 stalls and they have a bathroom. So are we all of a sudden now going to be pressured to put a bathroom in Evergreen Park? Again, I think this was designed, set up to be a community area park. And as much as I would love to have everyone travel there, to what extent are we now going to revitalizations this park? It wasn't even originally on our plan until JBS came with a proposal to revitalize with funding, and now all of a sudden we're throwing a lot of money into this. So,
Okay, Councillor Woodrup.
I do take Councillor Idris and Councillor Prentice's points, and I think you've swayed me. However, I do want to say that I do think that McKay Park already is one of the nicer parks. Like, I do take, I will push back on the comment of McKay Park being in poor shape. Yes, the parking lot, undeniably, very poor shape. But the rest of the park that is in very good condition comparatively to a lot of other parks or other areas that we could really put a lot of money into it. I am disappointed also that it is costing this much money where we could put less money there and have a beautiful park, that exciting place, that destination place. We would have to change things a bit, but it is already a really lovely park. However, if this is the way it's going to be, and and it's better to just do everything all at once, then I will vote in favor. But I do think it's a lot of money for a park that is already, it could be enhanced with less, is all I'm saying.
Councillor Goodenough?
Just on that side note of parking lot, I'm thinking about our baseball diamonds, on the, where our Bombers play, it's gravel. Is that an option to look at gravel? There is a parking lot there that is apparently, you can't even drive on it, I don't know, but maybe that's an option. Or maybe it's the same cost for graveling, I don't know.
I don't have an answer. I don't know yet. Yeah, at least, yeah. Okay, Councillor Idris, yeah.
By the way, just to clarify one piece of information, we approached JBS. It's not the other way around. We approached JBS for partnership on this. It was in our strategic planning. If you remember, Lisa is not here, but it was in our strategic planning session that we did at the JBS Canada Center, where we identified that, and then we approached JBS after that.
Okay, Councillor Jessica.
Yes, so when we talk about being over budget, though, isn't it over budget because of the things, the part that JBS was supporting is close to budget. These are just extras that were put on by the city to enhance the project. So it's not really over budget. The budget was added to.
Okay. Anything else? I'm going to take it to the motion here. All those in favor? Those against? Okay, carried. Good discussion. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that council will approve the purchase of the electric Zamboni Model 650 in the amount of $196,150 with 50% of the 6150 overage to be funded out of the equipment replacement reserve, and the other 50% to be absorbed through the operations budget. Randy.
Through the chair to mayor and council. So the 2023 budget includes $140,000 for the purchase of a new ice resurfacer. And on January 27th of 2023, staff obtained quotes for a variety of ice resurfacer models, including electric and propane models. Staff learned that the city was successful in obtaining a grant of up to $50,000 to purchase an electric ice resurfacer, and we learned that on March 9th. As a result, updated quotes were obtained on April 13th, in which the prices from January no longer apply as prices have increased. The updated prices and financial analysis are in the table below. So the 650 model, which is an electric model, over the course of a 15-year lifespan would cost $188,650. The 450 model, also electric, would be $158,273. The 446 model is a propane model, and would be $715,000. The 526 model is also propane, and it would be $239,875. So those lifespan costs include the original purchase of the machine, as well as fuel, either propane or electricity, depending on the model, and the fuel cell replacement for the electric machines, which is done after about 10 to 12 years. So currently, we do have the Zamboni 450 model that we use at the CRA. That's the new electric model, and it has limitations. The size of the tank is smaller, so the recreation operators are not able to scrape off as much ice as needed, leaving a rougher ice surface and poorer quality ice, particularly during heavy use. So things like Brooks Bandits games and practices, or hockey tournaments where there are back-to-back games. The Zamboni 650 model would ensure recreation operators are able to take off more ice during floods, leaving a smoother ice surface for those user groups. Options and costs for propane ice resurfacers were also provided. Model 446 has the same size tank as the 450, so we would run into the same challenges with that model. The 526 propane ice resurfacer has a larger capacity, but it's still not as large as the 650. So therefore, the recommendation is that council approve the purchase of the electric Zamboni Model 650 in the amount of $196,150, with 50% of the $6,150 overage to be funded out of the equipment replacement reserve and the other 50% to be absorbed through the operations budget.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Woodruff that council approve the use of the Elks Boardroom at the JBS Canada Centre for the Grasslands Regional FCSS Summer Youth Volunteer Program from July 4th to August 17th, 2023. Who's got this one? Oh, Randy's got this one. Okay, Randy.
So through the chair to mayor and council, Grasslands Regional FCSS provides opportunities for youth in grades 6 to 10 to volunteer in the community every summer as part of their Summer Youth Volunteer Program. The program runs for 7 weeks in July and August, and up to 15 youth can participate each week. The program had a home base shared with Makerspace. However, due to the uncertainty of the current location in the old County of Newell building, a new location is being sought to serve as the program's new home base for this summer. The space would be utilized every Monday to Thursday during the hours of 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. from July 4th to August 17th, 2023. A letter dated April 4th, 2023 was sent to the Brookston District Recreation and Parks Board asking if there would be space in a city facility that could be used as a home base for the program, and the letter is attached for information. At that meeting, the board made the following motion. Mercer Wardrop made a motion to support the FCSS Summer Youth Volunteer Program request by providing use of the Elks Boardroom as a home base and recommend the request be taken to council for consideration, and that was seconded by Kathy Delday, and the motion was carried. Therefore, administration recommends that council approve the use of the Elks Boardroom at the JBS Canada Centre for the Grasslands Regional FCSS Summer Youth Volunteer Program from July 4th to August 17th, 2023.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Goodenough.
I'm just curious, I think this is great, I support that. I'm just curious though, why would this be coming to council when you have a board to make these decisions?
Through the chair to Councillor Goodenough. So the board's able to approve donations up to $500 in value, and anything over $500 in value gets forwarded to council for consideration.
So what do you think the approximate value of this would be, sir?
We figured it out to be, I believe, and I can get the exact numbers, it was about $2,300, I believe, for this, but I'd have to check.
Okay.
The rooms are rented at $26 an hour, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Woodruff.
I would just like to reframe the dollar amount in terms of donation. This is, while this is a donation and there is a dollar value attached, this is not a popular rental time for that room. Doesn't represent a loss of revenue of whatever the dollar amount is. It doesn't represent a loss of revenue, but instead it's really making use of our facilities in a really valuable way for our community.
In a quiet time period too, I would assume, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, actually, when we were looking at availability, there were no conflicts at all during that time period, so.
Okay. Councillor Idris.
So when I look at the letter and how it's worded, it looks like they really need the room for day one. Because day one is the orientation day, and then day 2 and 3, it's let's just meet there to go from there somewhere. And then day 4, it could be there, it could be somewhere else. Could it not be done that we are giving that day 1, and then day 2 they can just meet in the lobby and then go from there, and then so that if potentially someone wants the room is available, or are they going to take it for the whole time?
Through the chair to Councillor Idris. So my understanding is that they require it as like a meeting point before and after they're done their volunteering as well. So they do their orientation day 1, and then they'll meet there and then go out into the community, volunteer, and then come back. So my understanding is that they would be using it every day, even though they wouldn't be in there, you're right, for the full 4.5 hours every day. They will be out in the community volunteering for part of that.
Any other questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councilor Idris that the City of Brooks submit the resolution for maintaining non-partisan municipal elections to Alberta municipalities for consideration during their 2023 Fall Convention. Alan.
Thank you. Through the Chair to Mayor and Council, municipal elections in Alberta have been predominantly free from political party influence, affording local elected officials the autonomy to debate and vote on community issues based on the best interests of their community. At the provincial level, there has been comment on opening the door for political parties at the civic level. Moving forward with this on a local level would result in partisan politics that would restrict individual elected officials from independently pursuing the best interests of our community and instead bind them by the ideology of the political party they represent. While the current Local Authorities Election Act does not explicitly restrict political party influence in local elections, it is felt that this concept should not be considered, and in fact the act should be amended to reinforce and ensure that local authorities elections remain free from partisan politics. Attached is a proposed resolution for the Fall Alberta Municipalities Convention, as well as the background information for Council to consider. The Village of Dutchess has been approached as the seconder to this resolution. The operative clause of the resolution is, it is therefore resolved that Alberta municipalities advocate to the provincial government to refrain from introducing partisan politics in local government elections, and it is further resolved that Alberta municipalities advocate to the provincial government for legislative changes to the Local Authorities Election Act to prohibit partisanship, infiltrating local elections or politics in any way, including political party endorsements of local candidates, donations directly or indirectly to local candidates, or by way of any other influence. And of course, the recommendation is that we submit the resolution for the upcoming convention.
Okay, any comments or questions? Councilor Idris.
So this came up when I was in Edmonton last, I think, I don't remember when, but when we were in Edmonton, and there was that concern through some of the statements that some of our government officials have shared in public, and also in some of the things that happened in the last election, especially in the big cities in Calgary and Edmonton. We thought that having this will be a good way to move forward. When I started talking to a few people, I talked to the mayor in Dutchess and some of the local politicians, and they all were for this. So I think it's a good. And I talked also with the Alberta Municipalities policy director, and the only concern was that, normally when you do a resolution, you are asking to change something that's already taken place or something. This hasn't taken place, but there is all the flavors of some people pushing for it or trying to bring it up. So it can go both ways.
The nice, or the beauty of municipal politics is the independence we have, and we're not puppets to a party. But how do you police that if, for example, in the next election, if the UCP or the NDP wanted to run a slate of candidates in Brooks, how do you stop that? How would the resolution stop that?
The only way to stop it is a legislative change, and that is what we are calling for. Because without that clear legislative change, yes, there is the understanding and nobody has done it and all of that, but if hopefully if you get that legislative change, then you will be doing something wrong if you are doing that.
Okay, Councillor Wardrop.
Yes, thank you for bringing this forward. I think this is a really important issue to be preventative on, given our current political climate, not just in Alberta, but across the country. I think that, to Mayor Petrie's point, I like this because it is preventative, and the second part here where it does say we could advocate to make changes to the Local Authority Elections Act to ensure that the beauty of our municipal elections and our municipal processes aren't tainted by partisanship. And then we could be preventative on it. So even if there are not concrete calls to make this, move forward or take this any further than it's already been kind of discussed, right, it would be good to ensure that even endorsements, I think, of candidates, local candidates would be a really a positive step in the right direction, and make sure that that we remain nonpartisan, so that we can best serve our constituents, our closest level of government.
Councillor Goodenough.
And now I'm done.
Can you give us an example, Councillor Dries, or of where there's been interference by a political party? I think we're fear-mongering with this bill, or trying to pass this. I don't think that this is necessarily, I think we're reaching at something and trying to make a statement about a certain political party and maybe comments that were made.
That's it exactly, comments that were made, as you just said. Yeah. So.
But you can't give an example where...
No. Like, it's not, like, if you want an example, just like, and I think that's what we did, Alan, when we were looking into this. We just Googled, and this person said this person said this. There are videos, it's not in hiding, it's in public record.
I agree with it, whatever, like I say, but I find it, it will be a challenge to police that, I think. That will be the challenge on that there, too. Just another point, though, okay, when does Alberta municipalities accept the resolution?
So the resolution has to be to the policy committee at Alberta Municipalities by end of the month, May 31st. But before that, we need to approve it. We need to send it to the community that's going to second it. They have to approve it in council, and the resolution plus our motion in council, plus the motion of the seconder in council will have to be there by May 31st.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the City of Brooks contribute up to $50,000 to the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association for the development of a memorandum of understanding, and that be funded from the Council Projects Reserve. Alan, you.
Thank you again, through the chair to mayor and council. I'm going to refer to SAWA here, and that's the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association. They received news that their $200,000 grant application from the Alberta Community Partnership Program was denied. They were to use that funding to develop an MOU with a successful proponent to construct an estimated, right now, $600 million energy from waste facility at our regional landfill site. Construction alone would employ about 490 individuals over the 3 years, generating 1,470 job years of employment. Facility operations are expected to require about 57 direct permanent positions. Developing this MOU is the next step in bringing the project closer to fruition. The project will be a boost to the local economy in both jobs and municipal tax revenues for the region, basically the county of Newell there. SAWA intends to apply for another grant, which is a 50-50 matching grant, so they will require $100,000 in matching funds. The county has agreed to fund $50,000 of that matching portion and hopes that the city would provide the other $50,000. The county went as far to say that if the grant application is not successful, or if another funding partner is not found, that they would fund the total $200,000 for the MOU, given the opportunities that that project would present to the community. At its April 24th meeting, Council Committee agreed to fund up to $50,000 for the MOU and hope that other SAWA communities consider making contributions as well, which could lower this amount. Administration recommends that this be funded from the Council Projects Reserve, which has an uncommitted balance of $170,000, $948, and the recommendation is that the City of Brooks contribute the $50,000 to SEWA for the development of a memorandum of understanding, and that this be funded from the council projects reserve.
Okay, any comments or questions? Councillor Jessica.
Yes, thanks, Alan, and thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so Alan presented some numbers on the immediate spin-off benefits of this were to actually go ahead. There are substantial environmental benefits in the reduction of greenhouse gases to the tune of 6 million tons over 25 years, which is about the same as will be or more than will be reduced by the Green Line project in Calgary. There are also actual more long-term benefits. For example, with the landfill, this will extend the landfill by eliminating filling it up with contaminated wastes with long-term liabilities and using it only for disposal of safer, less reactive waste such as industrial soil, which we've been getting. So it will extend the life of the landfill over time. And then a couple of years ago, the Landfill Authority bought a quarter section adjacent to the north of the landfill. And the primary intent for that was that if and when this project proceeds, that would provide a space for an industrial park, because as well as an environmentally positive method of dealing with non-recyclable and non-divertible wastes, because where they have these landfill or waste energy plants in the States, recycling actually goes up. It does not go down. They work in conjunction with the recycling programs. But where they have these things, you wind up as well as electricity, you're producing cheap heat. And they use that heat for things like cardboard recycling facilities. So instead of baling our cardboard and shipping it all over North America, we could have facilities in this area for doing that. There was, at one time, there was an attempt to get a pea processing plant for pea protein processing plant in the area, and it would be a high energy user as well. And so there's direct benefits and spin-off benefits. So I hope that council will support this and this cooperative effort with the County of Newell.
Give me some timelines now. What happens next? What's the next step on this one here? Because I mean, when I talk about timelines, I think you were there from the beginning, it's 12 years now, right?
Well, more closer to 15 actually. But,
Okay, 15.
But SEWA as an organization has been going for around 12 years. And how this all happened was Vulcan got grant money to build a landfill. And they decided, well, that's not the way to deal with waste. We need to do something better. And they looked into waste energy and found that there's nothing out there that works on a small scale, which is the case still. So they took their grant money and used it as seed money for SEWA. So it's been a project with 55 or 60 communities at this time cooperating to build a regional waste energy plant, similar to has been operating in Vancouver for decades. And has recently opened in, another one recently opened in Durham, Ontario. So it's been a phased process, and because of the expenses involved, there's something like $3 million have been invested in this project between direct funds and in-kind contributions. So there's been a number of engineering studies, there's been some legal studies. All these things have carried us to the point where SEWA was finally able to say, okay, we got this project, who will provide the technology and the knowledge for the construction and the operation, and they got 3 multinational corporations saying that we would be interested in cooperating with SEWA in building this facility. And one was Suez, which runs Swan Hills. One was Covanta, which is responsible for most of the waste energy plants in the United States. And then another one was a conglomerate with Hitachi, HZI, and the engineering, for $70,000, the engineering firm chose that as the one proposal was in our best interest. So now we've got a partner. Now you got to make a deal with this partner. So a big part of it is going to be negotiation with a memorandum of understanding with HZI over who's responsible for what and who owns what, and all the detail work there. The other thing that will be going on concurrently will be looking at commitment from the member municipalities and additional sources of waste, because there's no use of having a waste energy plant if you don't have waste for it. But unfortunately, Albertans are fantastic at making waste, and even with the work that has been done towards recycling, for example, the compost site here is doing about diversion of about 1,000 tons a year yard waste. But 10 years ago, I went and looked at what all the member municipalities were, or the engineers looked at what the member municipalities were producing for waste, and it was about 160,000 tons. And I repeated that process last year, and the amount of waste being produced within the Southern Alberta region is essentially unchanged in a decade with the recycling efforts that have been made. So my position prior to retirement and having the good fortune to be elected on council was as manager for New Regional Waste Management Authority, and from that position I've been on the board for Newell Recycling, Alberta Care, Coordinated Action for Recycling Enterprise, and for SEWA, and I've spent many hours at the working face at the landfill seeing what's going in there, and you can say what you will, there's no reasonable alternative recycling option for very much of the material that is going in there.
Okay, thanks for the short answer there.
I'm just getting started. I have that 15 years practice.
I'll give you 10 seconds. Do you think we'll see something like within a year? The Reader's Digest version here.
Well, within a year, we hope to have the agreement signed and in place. And that is, we've already had interest from financial institutions, including the Treasury Branch and FCM and the financing, the Federal Financing Authority Bank, I forget the something bank. And so once this deal is signed, then it would go a long way to making money available for the project to proceed. So
I think it's a great project when it comes to fruition, whenever that be. Any other Councilor Idris and then Councilor Prentice, yeah.
So with this $200,000, let's say we get it, and of course it's difficult to have all the different variables, but is there a possibility that this will not go through?
yes, I wish I could say no, but I can't.
Councilor Prentice.
Yeah, I guess got no problem with the project. It's been going on forever, but after this, if it doesn't go through, I think we have to start looking at the finances we put into this, because it could go on forever. So I think we got to be looking at this doesn't go, I'd be willing to say we're done.
If this doesn't go, I guess I will be right there beside you.
Yeah, I think so. No, good point there, Councilor Prentice. Yeah, okay. Okay, to the motion. All those, oh, sorry, Councilor Wardrop, yeah.
Just a quick one. Are we expecting that any other members are going to contribute?
Short
Because I
answer
believe-
again, probably not.
Because the motion says up to 50,000.
So there is a membership fee to belong to SEWA, and so they are contributing already. So the entire project isn't being carried by this. But I guess because we stand to benefit the most from having the project here, the burden will fall upon us.
Thank you.
Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Wardrop that the week of May 8th to the 12th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as International Economic Development Week in the City of Brooks. Mitch.
Thank you for taking my late addition to the agenda. We've been busy winning awards, so we sort of let this slip a little bit. Through the chair to Mayor and Council, the Brooks Newell Region Economic Development Team is encouraging our local municipalities to take part in the International Economic Development Week 2023 Community Challenge, which takes place May 8th through 12th, 2023. International Economic Development Week is a North America-wide celebration and recognition of economic development professionals and the essential work that they are doing every day. It was created to increase awareness of local programs that create jobs, advance career development opportunities, and improve the quality of life in communities everywhere. Since its inception in 2016, International Economic Development Week has seen hundreds of campaigns throughout Canada and the United States, creating millions of impressions, hundreds of news stories, blog entries, videos, events, and other activities. The goal of Economic Development Weeks are to articulate by voicing the value of the contributions economic development provides to the local economy, organize by building a base of support within the Brooks-Newell region for the work of our economic development team, show and tell through emphasizing the importance of economic development through tangible examples and success stories, and amplify by spreading the message and increase exposure of the good work economic developers do. We are proud of the contribution we provide to make the Brooks-Newell region a place where businesses can succeed and flourish, and in turn, a place where people want to live and raise their families. We look forward to telling our story to our community and inviting them to help us recognize the amazing place the Brooks-Newell region is to work and live. Therefore, the recommendation is that Council proclaim May 8th through 12th, 2023 International Economic Development Week in the City of Brooks.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Idris.
Thank you, Mitch, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
My question is, are there any special events or special things that are going to happen in that week?
Through the chair to Councillor Idris. A lot of it is going to be promotion and sort of telling our story. So we'll have social media posts, you know, traditional media if we can get some exposure that way. But in terms of actual events, no, we won't be having anything in particular in our region. But again, it's just about more promoting us and getting the story out of what we do and also what we can do to support the community, because it is the challenge always of letting people know how they can use us to help build their businesses and the community.
Okay, any other ones? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mitch. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that bylaw 2301 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to license, regulate, and control the operation of limousines, shuttle buses, taxi cabs, transportation network vehicles, and related businesses be read a third time and adopted. Amy, welcome back.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, I will give a brief overview on this because I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I'm going to be talking about. So the proposed bylaw allows for a rideshare company to operate within the city. The rideshare business or businesses and operators would be required to follow the same rules as the taxi companies and taxi operators, in addition to provincial requirements. The current proposed bylaw also removes the requirement for taxis to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, although they still can choose to do that. First and second reading of the bylaw were given at the April 17th meeting, and administration recommends third and final reading tonight.
Okay, we've discussed this quite a bit. Any discussion on this one? Okay, Councillor Goodenough there? Okay. Right.
I'd like to make amendment to this, if it's possible. The amendment would be that taxi cabs, the three companies that we have, and if more do come in, that they have to run 24 hours a day. The ride sharing would be excluded from that.
Just explain that to me.
The
thinking behind that.
The thinking behind it is we have companies that employ staff to run their cabs, okay? So we have three companies in town that hire staff to run their business. Ride sharing is more of a small business versus big business. So I look at it in the sense of a mom and pop shop using their vehicle to be able to drive in the convenience of when they work, or when they're off on their regular scheduled work days. So that would be my reasoning behind that, where someone who chooses the cab profession, that's a job that they're choosing to make, and then they should be subject to our current bylaw of 24/7 to work within those parameters.
Okay, any other? Councillor Idris.
Okay, so in principle,
I get you. I get the point that you are trying to bring. But what is this, if we don't have that rule, if we don't have the rule that says taxi companies need to operate for 24 hours a day, if we don't have that rule in the bylaw, if a company wants to do 24 hours, what's stopping that company from doing that?
Councillor Woodrow.
Just to further add on to that, if, there is nothing stopping if the cab company from operating during those hours. But the thing that stands out to me is the cab companies did tell us explicitly that there is very little to no demand during those early morning hours. And so if we were to mandate that cabs run 24/7, we may actually be putting them at a further disadvantage by making them pay staff during times where there is a very, very small opportunity to make any revenue. And I believe the reason why we did this in the first place was to not disadvantage the cab companies so that they wouldn't have to pay staff to operate during those low period times.
Councillor Goodenough.
And with all respect on that, I tend to agree with that, but I think what could happen down the road is we will have cab companies that are maybe not, that don't have as many drivers, choosing not to place workers out there or drivers out there when there should be. I think it should be an even playing field to when it's, rough, bad weather, for example, or later hours. I think that there should be, I don't know if that makes sense, but there should be that even playing field for all companies.
Councillor Jessica.
Well, I'm still trying to wrap my head around Dan Klein Cab Company being big business, but I guess if you're going to have a level playing field, though, for somebody to have a network ride-sharing business, they still have to meet the same requirements for insurance and everything else. So essentially, they are a business, or somebody is running it as a business, so maybe they should have to provide 24/7 as well, if you're going to do that.
Councillor Woodrow.
Yeah, I would just like to go back to the main points that we discussed at our last meeting, which was that if we open this up to have everyone follow the same rules, there is choice here. So there's choice for the cab companies. There's choice for anyone who wants to try a ride share. And again, no one will set up a ride share unless it is financially viable to do so. So with the bylaw, the way it is written, there is equal opportunity for either cab companies or ride shares to operate during low traffic hours where there's not a lot of demand for rides. And the way that it is written doesn't disadvantage anyone. And to that effect, if a cab company wants to offer that 24-hour service, go out there in the snowstorm, go, put whatever staff they want on whatever hours they want, they are more than welcome to. The only thing that we are altering here is that ride shares may do that also. But this is just, it is equaling, everything is equal, and we have choice. Not only the cab companies and the ride shares will have choice, but the citizens of Brooks will have choice about what kind of service they want provided to them.
Councillor Goodenough.
I guess there is two topics on here that we're looking at, and I realize that, and part of this, it's a big amendment to a bylaw, which I wish we could have divided it maybe to ride sharing versus 24-hour. My fear is that when those hours that when we have to wrestle through 6 months of snow in winter, that there's going to be no cab company that they're going to say we don't have to be out there because there's not a rule. And that makes me a little worried. Or that there will be such a wait list that many of us have experienced because there's not enough cabs on the street, where then employees are late for work because they can't actually get a cab. Because what's not to say cab company A will just put, well, the requirement is I just need to have one then. Or, how does that service the city? So I guess it's just a small concern.
Yeah, just a clarification on, for the amendment. So the amendment really doesn't change anything for the cab companies, but the motion, if it passes, if it ends up passing, taxi companies would still have to operate 24/7, plus we would still allow ride-sharing services in Brooks. That's what your amendment is asking here, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Idris.
You know, like, I think we agree on few principles, and I think we talked about that last time. And one of those principles is to try to be fair when we do this bylaw to everyone who is going to be impacted by this bylaw. That's number one. Number two, I don't know if we agree on this all, but I think it's another principle that we need to think of, in the sense that we need to actually be a little bit away from deciding who gets what in terms of business and how they do their business. Like, and I think you gave that example last time. Like, we do not tell McDonald's that you have to work this many hours, or we do not tell other companies you have to work this many hours. So I think less regulation is better here. Number three, from a cost-effective perspective, any more regulations we add is more enforcement at our end. More enforcement at our end means we need to have staffing to do that, okay? So if we are going to go back, because I do not like to have a rule on the books that we are not enforcing some way, okay? So if we put that rule, we learned that there are companies that maybe have not been following this rule, but because we haven't received a complaint, because we go with a complaint-based enforcement, we are not enforcing that. Then why do we have that rule on the books? Okay, so if we are going to bring this rule, maybe we need to figure a way, not only a complaint-based system, but figure a way that we are going to be able to enforce it. Finally, if we are going to do this, if we are going to make taxi companies work 24 hours, but still allow ride-share companies to come, we are basically putting the taxis in a very bad place, because the ride-share companies are going to work during the day when there is people to take around and benefit from that. And then at the end of the day, taxis will have to stay for the overnight hours when the ride-share company doesn't have to be there, okay? So because of these, I am going to vote no on your motion, my friend.
Councillor Woodruff.
I would just like to say too, I appreciate where your concern comes from, because your concern is that that citizens won't have access to the service that they need when they need it. But I would reassure you, I hope, by explaining, like we talked about this demand supply thing a lot last time. For an example, during the snowstorms, that is actually, it's the opposite. That's when the cab companies are very busy, right? Because that's when lots of people are calling. You'll naturally staff more. What I'm trying to say is that if we kind of keep our hands out, like our hands off of this and not over-regulate it, the people of Brooks will put the cabs where they need to, because they'll be calling for more service. And from a business perspective, right, the cabs will respond because that's their opportunity to make money. And I think that's, and I kind of spoke to it last time, it's not it's beyond our realm to decide when these cab companies are going to work, because if they want to work, they can choose to put people on, make money, and not. But I think we need to trust that entrepreneurs, people who are in this business, they know what they're doing, and if it is financially advantageous for them, they will put the people out there. I was very reassured when the cab companies came and very graciously took the time and spoke to us at council, and they said that there is really almost literally no people calling in those early morning hours. I don't think it's a concern. I appreciate where the concern is coming from, because it is a concern for the citizens of Brooks. But I do believe that the way that the bylaw is written as it is right now is the best for the citizens of Brooks and for potential entrepreneurs who want to come in and make make Brooks a place to live, work, and play too, like Mitch said before.
Councilor Nesbitt?
I just wanted to say, oops, that I pushed the wrong button. There it's gone. I appreciate what everybody's saying, but I think the only difference between what you and I are saying is that I think they should all have to work 24 hours. If you want to have an Uber, you have to do the 24 hours the same as a cab does. You can't make one more advantageous than the others. If you're going to have an Uber and you don't want to work all night long, well then you don't have a service then. Because the cab companies, even though maybe sometimes I hear rumors that they don't work 24 hours, it's too hard for us to police. They know they're supposed to, and that's the way it should be. And to have an Uber come in and not have to work the same hours as a cab company, it's just not right. Now we're dictating to them. It might even make one of the cab companies go under because we want an Uber to be there. And I really don't think that's fair. And sometimes I wish that we didn't have control over the cab companies and let them do what they want to do. But then we would be having a problem all the time. So anyways, my vote is to have everybody equal. If an Uber wants to come into town, they got to do 24 hours just like a cab company. That's...
So you're voting with us?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, well, okay. The motion is moved by Councilor Goodenough that bylaw 2301 be amended to require taxi companies to operate at 24 hours a day. I think we debated this here. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Those against? Okay, the motion's defeated. And now we go back to the original motion here. I'll read it again here. So moved by Councilor Goodenough that bylaw 2301 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to license, regulate, and control the operation of limousines, shuttle buses, taxi cabs, transportation network vehicles, and related businesses be read a third time and adopted. Any more debate on this one here? Okay, let's take it to the motion here. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, it's carried. Thank you very much, Amy, for your work on this. It's been a tough one here, there, too. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw number 2309, being a bylaw in the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to set a rate for the levy on assessed value of property subject to taxation for the year 2023 be introduced and read a first time. Shelley.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. So pursuant to section 353 of the Municipal Government Act, council is required to annually pass a property tax bylaw. Attached is the proposed 2023 property tax bylaw 23-09. In this bylaw, assessment and tax rates are set for the following tax authorities: the City of Brooks, so our municipal portion of taxes, Alberta School Foundation Fund, and Christ the Redeemer School Division, which is the education portion, the Newell Foundation, and the designated industrial DI property requisition. The following is a summary of the taxes required for those various taxing authorities. So the municipal portion of taxes is just over 13.5 million. Education requisition, just over 3.9 million. The Newell Foundation, 143,000, just over. And the DI property requisition is $2,046.68. And the total money raised through taxes in this bylaw is $17,599,635.07. That total revenue to be collected by the city for the above taxing authorities is 722,000, just over that, higher than the total amount that was collected through 2022 taxes. A detailed breakdown is attached illustrating the tax dollars collected for the municipality increasing by 5.81%. The tax dollars collected for the Alberta School Foundation will decrease by 0.61%, and the tax dollars collected to support the Newell Foundation will increase by 1.54%. This proposed bylaw continues to reflect a higher rate of taxation, the municipal portion only, for vacant non-residential properties, which will reduce the tax rate of other non-residential properties, which include the active commercial and industrial businesses that our local economy is so dependent on. The ratio between non-residential tax rates and the residential tax rate is 1.5 to 1. In 2023, the city's total taxable assessment increased by $75,235,050, made up of a residential increase of 6.4%, a vacant non-residential decrease of 26.07%, and an increase in other non-residential properties of 3.91%. The total taxable assessment for 2023 is $1,423,860,520. Probably didn't say that right. In 2023, the average residential property will pay approximately $2,657.33, which is $107.06 higher than what was levied in 2022. A non-residential property, other than vacant non-residential, will pay approximately $1,657.38 for every $100,000 of assessment. And so that's an increase of $20.91 over the amount that was levied in 2022. And it doesn't really take into account any increases in assessment for that property, however. The impact on vacant non-residential properties would result in an increase of about $18.87 for every $100,000 of assessment. Therefore, administration is recommending that bylaw number 23-09 be given 3 readings and adopted.
Okay, any questions? All right, first reading. Okay, to the motion. all those in favor? Yeah. Okay, moved by Councillor Jessica that bylaw number 2309 be read a second time. Now we can have some discussion. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the bylaw number 2309 be given 3 readings at this meeting, has to be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 2309 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to set a rate for the levy on assessed value of property subject to taxation for the year 2023 be read a 3rd time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 2310 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to impose a special tax for the repaving of streets and lanes be introduced and read a 1st time. Shelley.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. So attached is bylaw 2310 being the repaving tax bylaw for 2023. This bylaw is required annually according to the MGA because it is a bylaw to levy a special tax. The funds received from this special tax are used to repave existing paved streets. As reflected in the 2023 budget, the repaving tax rates have been increased approximately 25.5% in order to accommodate the increase in the city's street improvement projects, or SIP, from $1.7 million annually to $2 million annually. In the proposed bylaw, the street repaving tax rates will increase from $2.80 to $3.52 per foot of frontage or flankage. Rates for long undeveloped parcels up to 1,725 feet will increase from 0.71 cents to 89 cents per foot. And frontage and flankage that exceeds the 1,725 feet will be subject to rates of 18 cents per square foot compared to 14 cents in 2022. So the impact is listed on the memo. Basically, a typical resident with a lot size of 50 by 120 feet they will see an increase of $36 per year. Based on industrial commercial lot size, and obviously the lot sizes are all over the place, but I just picked a standard 225 feet of frontage or flankage. The increase for the repaving tax in 2023 would be $162. And based on an undeveloped parcel with 225 foot of frontage, the repaving tax would be an increase of $40.50 for the year. Along with the rates, the bylaw also sets out the manner in which the properties are assessed, and it regulates how the funds can be spent. So it's estimated that the tax will raise revenues of approximately $1.2 million in 2023, all of which will be applied to the 2023 Street Improvement Project Program. Therefore, administration is recommending that bylaw 2310 be given 3 readings and adopted.
Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that bylaw number 2310 be read a second time. Any comments or concerns? Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Prentice, bylaw number 2310 be given 3 readings at this meeting, has to be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the bylaw number 2310 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to impose a special tax for the repaving of streets and lanes be read a third time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, before we get to the meeting here, I just wanted to mention one other thing about the bandits there, and I forgot to mention that too. I had a bet with Spruce Grove Mayor, His Worship Jeff Acker. He'll probably be wearing, he has to wear the bandits jersey at his council meeting, but more importantly, he owes me a couple cases of Kool-Aid. Okay, from the media, Sandra.
Good evening. Now that the bandits are basically finished and the Centennial Regional Arena will be almost empty except for some spring camps, I believe there's some work that should be starting on that arena. Could you please tell me what the schedule may be for that?
Yeah, Randy, yeah, go ahead there, yeah.
So the dates, I don't have the exact dates, but it will be starting as soon as the ice plant's turned off, and the ice plant's scheduled to be turned off on May 10th.
And I'm sorry, can you please remind me what the work is going to be? It's weeping tiles, that's all I can remember.
So there's going to be a new weeping tile installed on both the north and south sides of the building. And then there will be some work done to strengthen the floor of the ice plant room itself.
Any other question? That's it? Thank you very much, Sandra. Okay, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the meeting adjourn at 6:08 p.m. All those in favor? Carried.